Everyone, welcome back to the Goonerverse. We are live, and as we're live, I've actually not even checked if I'm on the right microphone, but I am. There we go. You love to see it. Matheus Cunha is the player we have to talk about today. And look, the reports came out last night. There had been kind of talks and rumors and murmurs, and then it was sort of last night that Sammy Mockbell came in with the news that Arsenal are interested in Matheus Cunha. They are working on a new deal for him all, so we have to bear that in mind. He's a player that is really important to them. They've only had him a couple seasons. We've got to keep that all in mind. But Arsenal seem to be making an early sort of approach for a player like Matheus Cunha. And Team News and Tix had some stuff to say around it too. Now, I did cover it on a breaking news video for AFTV yesterday, where I kind of gave my instant reaction. But I've really I've slept on it. I've thought about it. I've watched some comps on the player. And look, you watch them week in, week out in the Premier League. You know, I remember the great goals he scored against Fulham, for example. I mean, those are the kind of performances like that stick in your mind. But you still want to do your research. You still want to sort of think, what else am I missing out on? And you stumble across like a great goal he scored at Forest that I've just completely forgotten how he basically runs through the team, spins a couple of defenders in the box and rifles it into the top corner. You think, yeah, I mean, that's the kind of quality Arsenal could definitely do with. But I also have looked into some of the data. We'll talk about that in this video. We'll actually show you some of the data and stats that I've found. It's very kind of basic surface level research, but it does tell us some interesting things too. So we'll look at all that, give our opinions on the signing. We'll talk a little bit about this Marmoush link as well, which is really related to Man City, though apparently Arsenal are a interested side. We'll talk about Tierney to Celtic because that's picking up pace as well. And of course, we have a game today. In 5.5 hours, we kick off against Brighton. So it'd be wrong not to mention that in some way. And there's been a mixed reaction to my Declan Rice at right back shouts. But we'll discuss all that too. But you know what? Let's chat to the community first because there was a lot of back and forth in the comments section. Just seen this come through though from Craig. Nothing like Goonerverse transfer talk at 7 a.m. at work. I'm in Canada from Canada. Amazing, Craig. I'd love to visit Canada. Thank you so much for tuning in at 7 a.m. I really appreciate that. Elliot says, yes, James, with a nice little celebration emoji there. Happy to watch the live stream. I have one question. Would you be happy with Nico Williams and Cunha this window or just Kudus? That's a good question. I think Williams and Cunha is better. Arsenal are stronger for having both of them who are top players than just Kudus. But, you know, you're pulling on my heartstrings there. You know I love Kudus. Like I mentioned, this is what we will be covering today. Luke Shaw, I'm pretty sure it's not the real Luke Shaw, but there we go. He's better than Jesus at the moment. Jesus is in good form. When I looked at Cunha's numbers, a lot more impressive than I sort of realised. And this as well, that Cunha isn't a ceiling raiser. Conversation being had about whether he kind of raises the floor or the actual ceiling. Essentially, does he make us better? Does he take Arsenal's best up a level, or is it a case of actually, he improves our worst, basically, when we have to bring in a player like Cunha or improving squad depth, Arsenal in a better position for it. I mean, and I feel it's probably more the latter. But again, do my research around the player. I might be wrong. Yes, Akash, appreciate that. Yeah, we're still figuring this all out. There's some like complications that changed plans. So I was originally meant to be like filming my lives here with my other sort of set background. But yeah, we had to have a change of plan. So now you can see there's a nice little Thierry on. There we go, nice little Thierry on repick. But over time, because the king himself, Max, you're the king, my friend. Yeah, we're always plotting and planning kind of new ideas and new things we can do. So look out for it. Super chat's coming in. Great to see, Suj. I'll get to that in a little bit, but let's go into the Matheus Cunha stuff and give you the news that came out. So this was from Sammy Mockbell yesterday. Arsenal interested in Matheus Cunha, but Wolves are working to sign the forward to a new contract. Transfer difficult this month with Wolves desperate to keep the forward. Now, I want to give some credit to Team News and Tix, okay? Because people get onto ITKs when they get things wrong every now and again. And I kind of get it, but also it's like, things do change and we kind of crave information and we get mad about it when they give us it and it's slightly wrong, or maybe it doesn't have the detail that we'd want. Now, on his Patreon, Team News and Tix said something like, look, Arsenal are looking to agree kind of potential moves with players before they approach clubs. And there's one player they're very close to personal terms on. And he's followed that up saying that it's Matheus Cunha. Now, when he originally said that basically there was a player that we were kind of really, persisting with, yeah, a lot of the internet kind of laughed about it. And it's like, look, do you want information or not? And by the way, it seems that this is sort of come true. It doesn't mean we're signing the player. It doesn't mean that we're close. It just means that they were kind of working on the personal side of things. Well, that's what Team News and Ticks are saying anyway. And I don't know. I just think like I said, we crave information, and then we get annoyed when we get annoyed when we get it, but it's not kind of all the info we want. I mean, if someone doesn't know something, I'd rather they don't pretend that they know something. And then this has all come out pretty soon after. He did actually warn, I think. He said, look, expect quite a lot to come out. Because Arsenal are sort of working on bits and bobs, and this did come out from Sammy Mockbell, so fair play. Yeah, Harry Lawrence, I see your super chat as well. We will get to that in a little bit. But yeah, that was coming in from Sammy Mockbell then. There is interest, but Wolves are trying to sign the player to a new contract. There were a few comments in the video I did for AFTV where people going, lol, this is clickbait. He's signing a new, signing a new deal with Wolves. Look, Wolves could be trying to sign the player to a new deal all they want. The point is, Arsenal are also happy, can have those conversations and see where the player is until he signed it. And even if he has signed it, this is football, right? How much do contracts really mean? So I'm not too worried that there's conversations going on between Sammy and not Sammy, but Matheus Cunha and Wolves. But obviously, maybe if anything, that's actually evidence that Wolves feel that the position of strength they're in with the player isn't that strong. Actually, they feel they need to offer him something better to convince him to stay, because perhaps his head could be turned. So yeah, that's kind of worth considering. Are there any FFP issues? Apparently not. So there was a report that I think we covered, I can't remember, saying that there just aren't any FFP issues for. There was a reporter who said, I can't remember who it was, but someone said that money won't be an issue for Arsenal. It was Sammy Mockbell. But he said it not via an article. I think he said it maybe it was a Q&A or something. Some quotes came out and he went, look, there's money to spend. So no, we don't need to worry on this front. I know there's lots of comments coming about Cunha. We'll go into it, but let's go into a little bit of the data around the player. Let's start with kind of the more surface level stuff. Bear with me 1 second. Right, we've got it here. So here we go. Details stats, Matheus Cunha. As you can see, we're doing this via Transfermarkt. Big up Transfermarkt always. Now, these numbers impressed me a lot more than I thought they would. I didn't realize he had 10 goals and 4 assists in the first half of the season in 19 Premier League games. So he's played in every single one. I think he started 18 of those 19, so clearly coming off the bench in the 19th one. But 10 goals and 14 assists is way more. Oh, you can't see the arrow floating, can you? Oh, now there we go. Now you can. There you go. So 10 goals and 4 assists in 19 is really pretty impressive. And even the season before that, 19 goals and assists in 32 games. That's a lot better than I thought the numbers were going to be. I really didn't think they were going to be that good. And here's me championing a player like Mohamed Kudus. So I love that player, but I don't think his numbers are this good. And he's doing a Wolves side that have hardly been scintillating. I mean, last season that they're a more than decent side, but this season 10 goals and 4 assists in 19 for a team that are struggling towards the bottom of the table. That is a really, really interesting set of numbers that I didn't expect. Now, as you can see, I mean, he's played for Atletico Madrid. Wasn't really happening for him before he got the move. He did play 29 games in La Liga with 6 goals and 6 assists then. So, this isn't someone who's completely, just a squad player and what's the word? What is the word? Surplus to requirements. He did have a season where he got 12 GA and in 29 games. But as you can see, I mean, from his numbers, back when he was in the Super League, I'm not sure who quite that was for, 10 goals, 8 assists. I mean, these are his best numbers, and they're coming in the Premier League. So really fair play to him. But here's my kind of concern about the player. It's kind of this, that essentially 143 appearances as a striker in his career, 26 on the left wing, 20 on the right wing. And he's played a lot of games sort of in that 10 shadow striker position. This is someone who, he plays his best football in areas of the pitch that we're quite covered already. And look, we do need a striker. We do. So basically, and I was saying this on AFTV, if you sign him as a striker, you're basically saying that Kai Havertz is either a midfielder long term or Jesus is a right winger, at least for the short to medium term. Because that's where they're going to play most of their football, because Matheus Cunha, you know, if you're signing as a striker, that's where I think he's most suited. I think he would be really good as like a striker / false nine, dropping in, linking up play. Now you could, is he good enough to be a starting left winger for us? Potentially. I mean, watching the comps, he's a very, very good, he's a very, very good player. Off the left, he can make some magic happen. But my biggest concern when it comes to Matheus Cunha as a left winger is I think we need one of two things. We either need a striker who bangs in goals you can rely to basically get another 10 to 15 between now and the end of the season, or we need a left winger who's got blistering pace, who's going to terrorize defense. I'm not sure Cunha quite fits in the mold of either. I think he really is a striker that drops into these second striker sort of number 10 positions and links the play. Someone made a really good point on Twitter. I think it was Amir, who I follow. And they were basically saying, like, well, maybe it was Alex on the different knock. Essentially, if Trossard or Jesus move on, he's an upgrade on what they do in the squad. Basically, he's an upgrade on one of those. He raises the level of their positions in the squad. But does he raise the level of this current starting Arsenal 11? Maybe, probably. I mean, what I do think is basically, I tell you what I do really like about him profile-wise, is because he can play left wing and up front. I've been actually saying that one of the players we could get is someone who can do both those positions fairly comfortably, so that you basically leave out to Jesus, Havertz, Martinelli, Trossard to fight it out for that sort of third spot in the front line. Essentially, if Cunha is on fire, which he has been this season, Saka's got the spot on the right, then what you've got in Cunha is a player who basically, well, is Martinelli on fire, scoring goals? Well, brilliant. Cunha leads the line, and you've added some quality there. If Havertz rediscovers great form, Jesus is in much better form, then you just play him up. You play Cunha off the left with one of those players up front, and you've added some quality. But again, I still have my doubts because you've got Martinelli, Trossard, Sterling, and then you're adding Cunha, who can all play off the left. And then what you'd have is Cunha, Jesus, Havertz, who can all play up front, with none of the three being players you're like completely and utterly convinced is the player who should be leading the line long term. So that's just where I have some of my doubts. Let's show you some other stuff, though. What else have we got? So here's Matheus Cunha on FB Ref. Look, some decent numbers, 3.12 shots per game in the Premier League this season. This is obviously compared to other attacking. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, compared to other attacking mids and wingers, because I guess that's where he's played. He's not really played up front so much this season. What I would say, though, is he's played kind of, I think, in the pocket in between. He's basically playing the front three, kind of. So you expect him to be quite high on numbers like that. There you go. Interceptions, clearances. So he does his defensive work. So Mikel Arteta's going to love him. Let's go into more detail. What else have we got? I mean, some of the stuff that stands out: 0.58 goals per 90, shots high, shots on targets high, which is good. 38.9% of his shots per 90 on target. Good to see. Shots from free kicks. Goals minus XG. What does that mean? XG totals including penalty kicks, but do not include penalty shootout. Goals minus expected goal. Listen, let's not overcomplicate it. Okay, some stats for me do go above my head, straight over my head. Progressive passing distance. You love to see that. Pass completed long looks quite good. Expected assists, not bad. Expected assisted goals. XG, which follows a pass that assists a shot. Okay, brilliant. Pass into the final third, you like to see. Key pass is not bad. Pass into the penalty area, yeah, that's all fairly decent. High up on switches. There's another great stat I stumbled across recently. We'll go through that. But I mean, there's not really too. Oh, outswing corner. I'll tell you what, his set piece is going to be a good thing. When I think Nicholas Yova turned to Mikel Arteta and said, sign this guy immediately, when he just launched one straight in direct from a corner against Man United. So there you go. He'll be put on set piece duty. Yeah, there's not really much. Yeah, successful take-ons. Shot creating actions via take-ons is good to see. Defensively, not too much. Again, interception and the clearance is quite high there. Carries into the final third. He's a ball carrier. That's the one thing he does really well. Ball to feet, he will run. And this is something this Arsenal team actually doesn't have much of. We have players that can carry the ball, but do we kind of stifle that out of them? Do we coach it out of them? This like what's the word, like endeavor and kind of freedom to just go and express yourself, go and run at the heart of teams. I think Cunha's got that in him, which we kind of do lack in the team. And he's a really kind of elegant ball carrier. He's also 6 foot. Like he's also not, he's not short. I mean, he's not like 6'4" target man, but he's also got like a bit of presence and strength to him for sure. And that's pretty much it on that. I'll tell you what else I wanted to show you though. Here we go. So this is SofaScore. And yeah, we're looking at him in the Premier League this season. Some decent ratings there. Yeah, again, playing predominantly, on that left side of the pitch, as you can see, taking a lot of corners. So there we go. Again, Nicholas Yova's going to love him. But that's kind of the area of the pitch you're predominantly playing in. So again, I just worry that we've just got so many players who can play in that area. I just worry we've got so many players who, I know a lot of people don't rate Raheem Sterling, I get it, but we've still got him on loan, and I still think he plays his best football out on the right. So I do, you just wonder, like, sorry, not on the right, out on the left, sorry, but he's predominantly going to be used on the right as the Saka backup. But you still got him there, it's just another player getting in the way, and it just makes that loan signing make even less sense. Yeah, profile-wise, he doesn't seem a perfect fit, but I like the player. Look, for everything I've said, everyone, please don't think that I don't rate Mateus Cunha. I really rate the player. I've got my doubts over whether he's exactly what we need because with all this, the cloud over all this is he's going to cost about 50, 60 million pounds. Already the reports that we're going to have to play over valuation for him. That's what Team News and Ticks was saying. I wouldn't want to pay more than 45 million for him. I don't think he's much better than that. But 45 million is a very good player. Like, I clearly still rate a player if they're 45 million, right? I don't think he's a 60 million pound player. And at that rate, I'm thinking, well, I'd rather chuck 20 million on and get the guy you really want, like the player you really, really want to sign. And if you're thinking, well, this is a player who can play out on the left, but is also a bit of a left eight, then what's wrong with Eze? Eze's out there. He's a player who can kind of do that kind of roll out on the left, a bit of a ball carrier, can maybe play in the false nine, can play off the left, but also can get into the left pockets and maybe play as a left eight for us every now and again. So I'm just not 100% sure. But look, let's go through some other stats. As we mentioned, he started 18 games, but he's played in all 19 this season. He's been in the team of the week 5 times for SofaScore. There we go. There was some interesting stuff. 10 goals we mentioned, 2.8 shots per game. So I think was that a slightly different number to the one that FB Ref had. Goal conversion 19%, but this was the stat that I really liked. It's this. Of his 29 shots from inside the box, he scored 6, but he's had 25 shots from outside the box. I assume that's what out of 25 means. He's had 25 shots from outside the box. So 4 of his 10 goals this season have come from outside the box. We do need some match-winning quality. We do need someone that can do a little bit of something out of nothing, that, doesn't need a high XG chance, if you want to put it that way, to put the ball in the back of the net. Someone who can sort of win you a game out of nothing. And for that reason, I'm a bit like, yeah, when you look at his comps, you look at some of the goals he scored, you do think, okay, we could do with a bit of match winning quality like that in our side. So yeah, that was certainly interesting too. I'm not really sure there's much else here. 78% pass accuracy per game, but not really much else to touch on. Successful dribbles, 53% of his dribbles are successful, 2.1 per game. Total duels won, there we go, 5.7 per game at 48%. Ground duels won at 50%. So there we go. He's quite high on ground duels. That is really not bad at all. Now, I think there was another thing I wanted to show, but let me just see if I can find it. Yeah, I can, but there's all sorts of things popping up. It was just Football Manager data. Yeah, it's not really working properly, so we'll leave it. All right, everyone. That's pretty much it on the data that I could sort of find at a glance on Mateus Cunha. Things that stood out there: ball carrying for sure. and he sort of carries into the final third. We knew he had that. I think his numbers and his output and his availability, I mean, that was all very impressive. He can play in positions that will facilitate, Havertz, Jesus, and Martinelli, and doesn't necessarily replace one of them, but pushes kind of all three of them, which is good. And the fact that 4 of his goals have come from outside the box this season as well, that's kind of a good thing. Arsenal need more of that quality in the side. Right, some of your comments have come in, so let's go through them. This is a good question, which literally has come in from the official Akai. Out of 10, how happy would you be if you got him for, say, less than 50 million? I'd be happy with that sign. I would be for less than 50 million. But look, even if we sign him for 60 million, I'd be happy because we've added a quality player that Mikel Arteta and Arsenal clearly want. And one of the things I gave credit to Arsenal for yesterday on AFTV is that at least they made it quite clear that this is a player they want. I mean, by the 3rd of Jan, there was a name and there was links. So, yeah, I like the guy for sure. Out of 10, I'd be 7, 8. I'd be happy with that signing. Really, I would be. Because we're adding some quality. I'm just not sure he's my first choice. Basically, I'm not convinced this is definitely the move we should be making. There was a really great tweet from Alex from the Different Knock. Let me find it. Bear with me one sec. I think he summed up my thoughts on it really well. Aim on football. There we go. But yeah, here we go. I found it. Sorry, everyone. Thanks for being patient. So this is what Alex said. Everyone wants to be on the right side of history of players, but I'll stick my neck out. I don't get Cunha. I don't see what he is that we aren't. He's incredible getting you from the middle third to the edge of the box, carries, intent, hold up. Is that our issue? It's a problem. Solution first. Arsenal's problem isn't ball progression, physicality in the middle third. It's efficiency, shot taking versus box touches and transition. That's it, and a debate. It's like us signing Yoro. Yeah, he's going to be world class, but is that our issue? I think he summed it up really well. Basically, yeah, do we have problems with carries, intent, hold up? I think maybe with carries we do a little bit. But I get what he's saying. Basically, we have no problem getting to the final third and the edge of the penalty area. And I kind of get it. The way I'd put it is basically, do we have any problems? Yeah, with all the things he mentioned, no. I think we have problems more with blistering pace and transition and someone who turns a 2, 3, 4 out of 10 chance into a goal. I'm not really sure he definitely does that. Okay, let's go through all your comments. Bless you all. Loads coming in. So let's go through them. And yes, as Luke Shaw said, hit the like button, people. Do subscribe to the channel if you're not yet. Would love to keep building more of a community and do more of these lives. And just, yeah, maybe doing kind of more on-the-spot research like this together on players, especially when, it's more of a report and a rumor than it is like concrete, we're definitely signing him, where obviously we'll do sort of much more thorough breakdowns. But yeah, yeah, by all means, subscribe if you are interested in this kind of content. Jake says, I really liked him before he went to Wolves, to be honest. Then he went making a lot of noise again. There's a lot of quiet period coming, so it's similar with Gabriel Jesus. I liked him before he went to Wolves, Atletico Madrid. I liked him before. Was it Hertha Berlin? No, where was he? Anyway, I did like him before. He's he showed his talent. Football Manager always rated him highly, but I like him more since I've seen him in the Premier League for sure. I mean, being able to prove that you've done this in the Premier League is a good thing. Yeah, but again, I just think there's other players out there. So the reason I'm really pensive on this is because I'm trying to understand what it is why it is I'm so unsure. And I think I've touched on the profile side of things with Cunha, but there's just still something else I'm not quite feeling about the player. Jack Devonport, how are you, man? Good to see you. Everyone go follow Jack on Twitter. Not on Twitter, well, obviously on Twitter, but on TikTok as well. Always doing some great stuff there. Suj, good to see you, man. And yeah, hit the likes, people. Right, let's go through more of your thoughts on Cunha. Tom doesn't think it's happening. No, if I had to venture a guess, I think it's likely we're not signing Matheus Cunha, to be completely honest. Suj says, big up, James. Hit the likes and subscribe, people. 10 p.m. shows are great. Cunha's proven, but he is going to strike fear. But is he going to strike fear in the opposition? I'm not so sure. Yeah, I think that's actually quite a good way of putting it. Basically, do I think teams will fear Matheus Cunha and fear that we signed him. I don't know. Like, maybe. Like, yeah, maybe. I'm not convinced in the way I am with Kudus or a few other players that are out there that they're going to, that the opposition will be like, whoa, you know, okay, we're facing this guy, you know, and he's going to be a problem. But I do like him a lot. I think he's really suited to Liverpool. I think Liverpool should move on Darwin Nunez and bring in a Matheus Cunha. I think he'd be brilliant for them. Lots of love between Max and Suj. You love to see it. Legends of this channel. With a happy new year, and happy new year to all of you, of course. Is the issue that Cunha isn't quick enough for left wing? I don't know. I don't think he's lightning fast. I think he's quick, but I don't think he's lightning fast. James is a no-brainer. If it's possible, we do it. Let's go through the super chats. Thank you so much, Harry Lawrence. Sent in another one as well. Who's your ideal signing this Jan? Mine's Semenyo. Yeah, I mean, I keep saying it's Kudus, but I don't think that's likely. Nico Williams. There is a release clause there. I like Ademola Lookman. If we're talking that kind of line between realistic, I think he's got a release clause as well. If we're talking realistic and we're talking the actual profile we need, I really like Lookman. Suj says, how much would Cunha cost? If he is above 60 million, I'd go for Lo Penda with a 67 million release clause or an Osman. P.S. Heard you might be coming to Australia. Happy to show you. Oh, Suj, man. I didn't realize you were in Australia. Yes, I'm going to be in Australia in end of Feb. Drop me a message on my AFC James B Insta and I'll reply and I'll let you know my plans. But appreciate that. Yeah. I'll be in Australia, Melbourne and Sydney for about 3 weeks. So yeah, looking forward to that. Thank you. Matt Carney says, James, what would your approach be to punishment as a manager? Okay. What is the best way to remotivate a lazy or weak player without losing their loyalty? You love your big questions, Matt. I say arm around the shoulder, and if they're not responding to that, then listen, a player that you need to try too hard to motivate shouldn't be in the squad. Lee says, I've asked everywhere, so I'll ask you, if we got Kudus and Gyökeres now and no business in the summer, would you take it? Yeah, if we got Gyökeres and Kudus now and no business in the summer, yeah, I'd take that. I mean, we've still got problems with the goalkeeper, but you keep Carl Hein as your number 2, and you've got Tommy Setford's a year older, Munir and Lewis Skelly a year older, so you've got no problem in midfield there because they'd probably be even more ready. Marino's a year more ready. I'd probably have to keep Jorginho and Partey for another year. Yeah, I'd do that. I would. Basically, you're also asked, I mean, what you're basically saying is, if Kudus and Gyökeres were the only signings we made in the summer, would I be happy with that as the only summer business we did? And yeah, so I'd bring that forward and not do anything in summer. Yeah, I would be happy with that. More than happy with that. Rona says, big up, James. Love the content. Delighted to catch a live show. Would love Marmoush or something of that style. Well, I mean, I've been rattling on and we know Tottenham are about to kick off. So I'm going to speed round in these last 2 minutes some other news, just to touch on it super quick. Here we go. So, I'm showing you the wrong page. Here we go. So, negotiation on the way for Kieran Tierney and his return to Celtic from Arsenal. Discussions taking place. 27-year-old fullback keen on the move. Talks continue to reach full agreement. He'll go to Celtic, and I'm really happy for him. Great move for him. Back home, back where they'd love him there. And I think that's a fantastic move for him. Really happy for Kieran Tierney. Shame it didn't work out for us. I still think there's a really good player there. I'm glad we actually got to see him play some football this season. But I think this just makes complete sense for everyone involved. Then there was this. City HQ, quoting Santi JFM. Manchester City have reportedly sent a contract proposal to Omar Marmoush's agent. Tottenham, Arsenal and Liverpool are also interested, but he currently prefers Man City and has spoken to the City board, which is very, very interesting because basically Marmoush is one of those players that people have mentioned. Yes, he looks very good in the comps. Should Arsenal be trying to get him? If Man City not only sign him, but with all the problems they've kind of got behind the scenes, and we know they're not having a great season, and we actually know they've got Doku and Savinho as kind of wingers there too. And listen, I'm not saying for 1 second that we should be beating Man City to players. They still have that pool. They're still the 4-time in a row champions. They've still got Pep Guardiola. They've still got a lot of money. Of course, if they want to get this deal done, they'll get wrapped up. But it will feel like a player that Arsenal fans are going, well, we could get Marmoush. If Man City go and do it, and we're still kind of dithering, and then we, end up not signing anyone, or even they kind of get one done sort of by the 10th of Jan, and we're going into the 23rd of Jan with no one. I can just see there being a little bit of unrest from Arsenal fans. And sometimes it is what other clubs do that can, both Arsenal and Man City are a bit of a way off where they want to be. Man City, for sure, much more off it than Arsenal. But basically, both needed to respond in the window in some way. If Man City get moving, then I could just see Arsenal fans getting really irate about that. And I just can't pretend it wouldn't bother me as well in some way. But there we go, everyone. That is pretty much everything. We're going to end the stream there. Big thank you to everyone for tuning in. Super appreciate it. I don't think I missed any super chats. Thank you for all the comments that come in. Sorry that I've just not been able to go through as many comments as I'd like. We did a fairly thorough breakdown. Hey, see you in Melbourne. Pretty thorough breakdown. So sorry that it's not been as kind of communicative on the comments front and interaction front. But get me Olmo. Someone's saying, I'd love Olmo. But look, love to you all. Super appreciate you all tuning in. Please, please hit the like button if you enjoyed the stream. Please subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this content. And thank you to everyone who did tune in. Arsenal kick off in 5 hours, and there will be a match report on the channel after that as well, straight after the game, where I'll give you my thoughts on what is hopefully a win against Brighton. All right, everyone, big thanks. Really appreciate you all tuning in. Catch you very soon.